Hey, it's Soul, and welcome back to Warcraft Weekly, the show that looks back at the week gone by and wonders where did it all go wrong. This week is another crazy, heavy week of news, so let's get started with what cannot be ignored. The Burning Crusade Classic is launching globally June 1st and 2nd, right? 1st and 2nd? Okay. We should be used to this by now, but over in sunny California, the expansion will activate at 3 p.m. our time. But in Sydney, Australia, it's going to be 8 a.m. the next day their time, so, nice thing to wake up to. Before that though, on May 18th, the Burning Crusade pre-expansion patch will drop. A couple of things are going to happen here. During the maintenance period, a snapshot of everybody's character data will be taken. That's because all the current realms are going to progress into the Burning Crusade together. When you log in for the first time after the patch, you will be presented with a choice. A meaningful choice this time. You will choose per character whether they want to stay in the vanilla or move into the Burning Crusade, after which your character is yeeted off to wherever you wish. You can also choose to have both, and the snapshot of your character taken at the time will be copied to wherever you wish one time. You just gotta pony up the cash. What also happens after the pre-patch is that Blood Elves and Draenei will be able to play immediately, and you can start leveling your new Shaman or your Paladin or whatever class to 60 within that 2-week period. There's going to be a pre-patch event just like before the original Burning Crusade launch, fighting demons and crashing servers. I'm just kidding, hopefully no crashing servers. The price for everything TBC has been revealed, and we start with boosting a non-Blood Elf or Draenei character to 58. They're calling it the Portal Pass, which works just like the other character boosts. You get some gear and a mount and enough to get you started, and it's gonna set you back $40. And according to some websites that I shouldn't be looking at, that's a pretty good deal. Or you can step it up by getting yourself the deluxe edition of the Burning Crusade Classic, which goes for $70. The same price my mom paid for Final Fantasy II for the SNES. Oh, sweet memories. This comes with a Portal Pass and an additional ground mount that you can use both in Classic and modern games. You also get 2 toys that give you a Dark Portal Hearthstone effect and fiery footsteps like Illidan, and you get a month of game time. So mentally you can knock $15 off the deluxe edition. And finally, for those of you who want to take that super awesome level 60 character of yours to play in both Vanilla and Burning Crusade realms, it's $35 a pop to reactivate each character on both a TBC and Vanilla server. And now it's time for some commentary. I'm trying to do a sort of new thing where I harshly divide my news and opinionated side, so here we go. Some people looked at these prices and thought out loud, oh okay, this is really reasonable and totally within my budget. No, people on social media are pissed and are on a Burning Crusade of their own to get as many people as they can on board to wave the banners of discourse like, boo, Blizzard, how dare you take our money to satisfy your insatiable greed. Now I agree that $35 is a lot for what's basically a character copy, no question. But I also have a feeling, just a feeling, but a feeling that the people unwilling to pay $35 to keep their vanilla classic character active would not pay $20 either, or $15. Or 10. Or well, they may not even care to go back to vanilla, and even when they do, it's gonna be to play on a fresh character, preferably on a fresh server. I'm sure more than a few of you are aggressively thinking, no way, I would have definitely paid $20 to clone 5 of my characters, but $35? No way, they are not getting a dime sachet left. My guess though is that based on whatever cold-hearted, emotionless data collecting Blizzard has done, they've concluded that the vast number of players of Classic WoW who may not include you are only likely to transfer one character regardless of the price. As a seasoned commentator under the category of shill, I'm used to people gawking at the price of anything that is not free. Still, it felt like meme levels of surprise to see the backlash over the pricing offered for the Portal Pass and the Deluxe Edition. I think the value of the one-time boost is fairly reasonable. It's a much better value than the Shadowlands boost a la carte if you consider how long it takes to get to max level in Shadowlands as opposed to Classic. Now don't get me wrong, the price of the Deluxe Edition of TBC is high. It's only $10 less than the Shadowlands Epic Edition. And when you put these side by side and separate every item, Shadowlands is still overall the better value. Here's what baffles me though, ask yourself this, how much is it to just play BC Classic? How much is it to play Blood Elves and Draenei in the pre-patch? Nothing extra. It's just the cost of your subscription. This is an entirely optional thing. Shadowlands and other expansions started at $40, while Classic and TBC Classic start at $0. I'm not trying to justify the lack of box price as justification of why this deluxe edition costs as much as it does, but to question why people are trashing on it in the first place, you can ignore this entire announcement. Do nothing, and a month from now you will be in Outland, or you can stay in Azeroth, whatever you want to do with your character. here. I get that much of the anger is directed towards Blizzard's apparent greed, but these folks are willingly staying in this constant state of anger, being mad at the principle behind these offers while being more angry at the price of these offers that they won't pay anyway, when just being indifferent and ignoring this bundle feels so much more relaxing. Real quick before we get into today's WoW, Blizzard did their quarterly earnings report thing, and the big takeaway is jobs. Across the company, Blizzard plans on hiring a whopping 2,000 developer positions across its franchises over the next 2 years. This is pretty aggressive but expected. The more recent layoffs of non-developers and restructuring over the few years has pretty much been to make room for hiring more developers, which ought to translate into what's more important for us, player housing. More games. My opinion, but unfortunately 2 years to hire 2,000 developers means the efforts of such an endeavor won't bear fruit for the next 4 to 5 years. And this does not do much to improve the perception / reputation / fact that Blizzard doesn't offer competitive pay compared to other studios. But just like all the other breakaway studios formed that fans hope will grind Blizzard to dust, I am interested to see what comes down the pike. In surprising but not so surprising but definitely humorous news, Blizzard followed up on their ban on software-based input broadcasting. That's the ability to emulate a single keystroke into many across multiple WoW clients. As of now, all forms of this practice are banned, whether it's software or hardware. The action of just having multiple accounts is still okay, it's just that going forward, if it doesn't seem so obvious that someone is alt-tabbing to lay down a bunch of starfalls, they're gonna get smoked. So let's give ourselves a moment to react. Haha, oh man. Opinion, I wonder if these people knew that this was coming, like, ooh, hey guys, they banned software, but no way will they touch the hardware approach. We're totally safe here, guys. Were they ever really thinking that? Moving on to some quick PvP news, you know how normally to get the cool mount from rated PvP, you've got to get a certain rating like 1400, and then win a bunch of matches, while above that rating, well, that changed, but for the better. The requirement went down from 1400 to 1000 to bring the skill requirement, quote, more in line with what it was in previous seasons. You see, with the really long season we're having, along with the notion that gearing from PvP is the fastest way to gear up, more people have been PvPing, adding to the pool to the point where people would tank their rating, jump back in, and then win a bunch of matches easily, probably for the purpose of carrying other people up the ladder. So opinion time, this nerf is meant to protect the people who are just trying to go for that vicious mount and typically have a hard time, like me. No telling if this is going to keep next season, so in the meantime get into some PvP if you want a better chance of getting that mount. Really, this season's like super long, you have time. A 9.1 PTR build dropped this week on a Tuesday for a change, nice. So let's take a look at some highlights. This build dropped a ton of shoulder transmog. They should call this patch Shadowlands, cause damn, no joke, it's a lot. Shoulders seem to be dropping from numerous sources, including activities in the Maw and Torghast. Floor bosses are dropping shoulders. You can even buy shoulders from brokers, meaning the stable of Phantasmalure, you have purpose. Please have purpose. Anyone who's been watching me for a while knows how I feel about shoulder transmog, but in short, I'm happy for you guys and gals who are shoulder fans, but I would have been more stoked over, I don't know, cool stuff to go in the back slot. How about a full-on cloak that drapes over your shoulders, or Kil'Thuzad's head slung on your back, or a pizza? I just hope that there's more everything and not just shoulders, alright? Here's some more stuff on the subject of quality of life. How about being able to transfer your soul ash to your alts? A new item called Packaged Soul Ash is available that lets you purchase a bag of 1300 ash that you can then transfer to your alts. But I'm pretty sure people are going to use it the other way around. They're going to run Torghast on alts they don't care about so much and launder that ash over to the character that really needs a crap ton of it for 9.1. No doubt that a handful of high-end players are considering doing that just in preparation, or they're just doing it now. So it's no wonder that buying these bags can be a big pain in the ass, because of course Blizzard would. Right now this item is on brokers inside a Torghast climb, and you can only buy one, and it doesn't show up all the time. Even worse, depending on what blessings or torments are active, sometimes brokers are going to be hostile and you can't buy bags at all until the blessing rotates to something else. So opinion time, even if Blizzard has said time and time again that they prefer to avoid a situation where alts serve mains in with methods like this, screw it. Let them. Go ahead and make a vendor outside Torghast so players don't have to deal with that hassle. Let them farm their faces off ahead of the patch if they really want to. If there are situations where someone has to prop up a new character and has to run 5 alts through layer 8s to give them enough soul ash, I think that is 1, only going to happen at the top end of players, and 2, only gets them so far anyway because in order to make higher level legendaries they need soul cinders, which are not tradable. This is patch 9.1, meaning we've got 2 more seasons of content ahead of us, I hope, and the conversation of upgrading legendaries is going to come up again. We might be going from soul ash to cinders to droppings. Yeah, soul droppings. That sounds appetizing. I think it's worth considering shaving away at a few possible inconveniences and just put a vendor outside. Torghast could use a bit more life in its main hall. Moving on, the good old folks at Wowhead point out that Valor upgrades are in for 9.1. Not too many surprising things to see here. There's a placeholder cost of 1,000 Valor per piece, but until we know what the new weekly limit is, this value doesn't mean much. But also like last season, there are these bottom 2 ranks, ranks 13 and 14, that are not available. These ranks take this gear to mythic item level, which was a no-no. According to my headcanon, there needed to be a difference between raid and dungeon gear in 9.0, and the item level lockout made that difference. So say hello to PvP gear. But now we're approaching patch 9.1, and with some very distinct differences with gear within the big 3. PvP gear is the best gear for PvP because it has an item level higher than anything else out there. Raid gear will presumably have something called the Shards of Domination, only usable in mob-based content like the raid, making it the best gear for raiding. Here's my opinion: in light of that, logic dictates that these final 2 ranks should just not be locked anymore.
Break the system.
Revolution! Just give them the item level, because even though I am never going to be in a high level key unless people offer to carry me for free, they're gonna look at the item level of the gear, look at mythic rating, and be like, well, someone's gotta break that plateau, and that doesn't sound ideal. I'd love your thoughts on this, even if it might not be super important to you, but it just makes sense, right? It doesn't seem all that okay. After reaching that item level cap, you got to go entirely outside out of that space to get that next level. It's like you're out getting groceries at your local shop, and today you're stepping it up. You're jonesing for cereal. Carbohydrates. So you want to get some cereal, and you want milk, but then you find out that your local grocery store doesn't even sell milk. You've got to go across town and get milk there if you ever want cereal, and that sort of sucks, just like this analogy. But I hope I'm getting the message through. Please, share your thoughts. And now we have a better idea of Blizzard's vision in Torghast in light of the gems, and the score, and the talent tree, and the timer, and the overwhelming narrative that it's turned into a time-based, time-gated activity, even though after all my testing, I don't see that. It's like I'm playing a different PTR than these people. Anyway, a big meta achievement was added in this build featuring this beast, the Moss-worn Charger. Yes, it's a freaking horse, but it's the fate of all horse mounts. Don't change that description, Blizzard. It's awesome and it's fine. The achievement wants you to complete every cell block in Torghast at layer 12, the new highest difficulty in what is called a flawless run. But unlike, say, getting the Faceless One title from Horrific Visions, which required you to complete a 5 mask by yourself, these flawless achievements look like they can be done in a group. And this week, the Chorus of Dead Souls event took place, which can make even the hardest climbs pretty trivial by comparison. Now that we have a more complete look of what Torghast is like, I can paint a better picture for you to tear down regardless, but I'll give my opinion on it anyway. Between the score and the talent tree and the meta achievement, there are 2 kinds of Torghast climbs that players will go through: a routine climb and a push climb. We're used to the routine climb in 9.0, you get to the 6th floor, you kill the boss, you collect the ash, you do that twice, and then you're done. That hasn't changed except for the fact that there are only 5 floors now. You climb the first 2, and then there's the broker floor, there's 1 more floor after that, and then ta-da, the boss. Eventually we all fall into step here. After we collect all the rewards from Torghast, and there are quite a few more now, we do the achievement things and so on, we're mostly gonna be back to this. No surprise. Pushing Torghast has a different sort of mentality because you're going for unlocking the higher floors or trying to get a flawless 12, meaning player behavior is going to change just a little bit. I don't mean to skill shame anyone here, but pushing to unlock higher layers is not the white knuckle butt clutching go 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 that you think it is. For those of you who like to be extremely thorough, think over every anima power that you want to pick up and need to step away a few times in the middle of a floor, as long as you don't die, you will unlock higher layers. This right here is a layer 12 climb that I did just earlier. I blew through it thanks to the Chorus of the Dead Souls event, but I tried to make sure to do everything, and on the boss floor, I idled until I was 40 minutes in. Then I cleared it, and this is my score. And in case you're wondering, unlocking layers 9 through 12 is account-wide. Pushing for flawless is where the box of many things comes into play, to give that sense of incremental progression and eventually totally ridiculous Dynasty Warriors Dragon Ball Z madness. In the long run, the flawless achievements are made to eventually win, for top players to get early and lord over the rabble before it can be pretty easily attainable for the willing by the end of the patch and definitely the expansion. This PTR build did a lot of favors for Torghast with regards to rewards. I mentioned earlier that shoulders are dropping from bosses and are available from the broker vendors, which does a bit to change up your routine climbs and how you plan your Phantasma purchases. More rewards are expected as some mobs and rares are also dropping placeholder loots, but what are your thoughts now? Are your impressions any different? Is this turning out to be a more robust feature, or for Torghast has time run out? Get it? You see this as a timer thing? Okay, moving on. With Burning Crusade Classic a month away and statements from Blizzard that they don't want it and the patch 9.1 launch to overlap too closely, we've got to ask the age-old question of when is it coming? The popular prediction is late June to mid-July. With respect to the 4th of July holiday weekend and with the way vaccinations are going right now, you know what, I don't want to jinx that. But we should also lay down the current status of the PTR, which is not feature complete, meaning not all of the big things of 9.1 are testable yet. Biggest one is Tazavesh. The Mega Dungeon is not testable yet, and no doubt it's going to be a popular spot to check out. The Shards of Domination I mentioned earlier is meant to give some extra oomph to raid gear to make sure that it's the best gear for raiding. That's also not testable, but in this week's build we're seeing this thing called Runic Dominion. Apparently it's a zone buff that works in the Maw, Korthia, and even Torghast. We previewed some of its effects before Blizzard pointed out that the data mine info was a very early look, so that's more we have to be on the lookout for. The research tree and currency that lets you upgrade mod-touched gear can be a huge boost to the more casual crowd. That too isn't testable, and I'd love to see how this works alongside the Shards of Domination. Maybe this Dominion buff has a relationship with it, we're not quite sure. And then of course there's all the polish, the class balance, and tuning of things. After last week's delays, it was cool to see some aggressive testing on Blizzard's part. There's a lot of raid testing going on, including a wing of Raid Finder difficulty going on over the next few days. But when's the patch, dude? Okay, fine, my guess is July 6th at the earliest. I noticed on the in-game calendar the Torghast events do not extend past June. The last one is the Beast of Prodigma on the 29th, and then nothing. When are the events coming back? Whenever Blizzard schedules them back in, after the patch. The rest of the schedule probably follows recent trends. Preseason will last for 1 week, and then Season 2 will begin on the 13th. So mark your calendars, and that is the show. Now that we're at the part that my most diehard viewers get to, I would love your input. You might have noticed that today's show flowed maybe a little, maybe a lot differently, and I'd like to know what you think. If you didn't notice, but I actually made things flow a little bit faster, maybe a lot faster. That's actually the first time I really went all in with this editing method since I started using the teleprompter. See? I'm always looking for ways for the channel to improve, and right now the whole YouTube space is more welcoming to emotion-driven, borderline hateful criticism, as opposed to the more thoughtful and considerate criticism that I'm known for. There's not much I can do about the weather, or if we're dealing with a tough crowd, but well, now is your chance to leave me some feedback. I didn't have time this week, but next week I plan on adding another segment after the news part where I answer questions that I typically hear. Maybe questions directly from you folks, or just comments that I see that prompt some sort of response, because I do love talking with you folks, whether it's on comments, or stream, or Discord, whatever. This channel is nothing without you, including our loving subscribers on Twitch and our awesome patrons. So let's give a warm welcome to the Core 404, Michael, and more for being so generous, and I'm grateful that you've been sticking around. For now, though, let's get out of here. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more recaps and reminders and updates and whatevers, and to like the video, because apparently numbers matter. I'll see you next time, everyone. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.